All right, so after the link to the outline study guide for test 2, I have given you this little ungraded item here for you to practice marking up arguments for our test this semester, and also I may have you mark up some arguments in future bundle work. As I go through this, I'm going to assume that you completed all of the argument modules. I think there were 8 totals, most of them in bundle 2 and some of them in bundle 3. And I'm just going to use the terminology that I presented to you and that you were supposed to practice applying. This mostly focuses on the mechanics of doing that kind of work online in Blackboard. Now, you've got to make sure that we are all, that you are following the system that I gave you, the markup system. So don't create your own any markup system. I'm pretty sure I iterated that in the videos because I'm going to be, grading a lot of tests, and so I want to grade efficiently, and that's why I give us all a common way of marking up the passages, because we know what the different markups mean. They all mean the same thing, and that way I don't have to stop and think about like what your markups mean. So that is also very important for you to remember. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So what you'll need to do in the test or in online work for argument markups is you're going to have to, and I think I might have actually done it this way online in Blackboard or in Word to show you how to mark something up. Electronically at least, but this shows you in Blackboard. So here's the argument right here. Okay, so you got to look for the argument. What you're going to do is you're going to copy it. And if you don't know how to copy in Blackboard, it can be a little bit tricky. Probably have to do an Alt-C or something like that. Ask for help from the computer center or from the test proctor. But I'm going to copy that, and I'm going to do it like that. You can also probably copy it and then just drag it down like that. Well, no, it didn't work. So you're going to have to figure that out. So now I have the argument passage that I'm going to work on, and this is, of course, for clarifying an argument. Now, to make sure we can see everything, I'm just going to do that. You don't need to change where a line begins or ends. It's just that I've limited the video screen recording area to make my video file smaller. Okay, so again, this is really about the markup. This does not count as a lesson for those of you who might not have completed the clarifying argument module. But of course, I will be applying what we presented there. All right, so of course, one of the things we're going to be doing is looking for premises and conclusions. So I'm going to be looking at the statement. It says, because a true theory is one that sticks to facts obtained from observation of the natural world. I know that because typically functions as a premise indicator, so I'm going to go ahead and put P here. If it turns out to not be a premise, as I read other statements later on, I can always change that to a C. But, the thing to keep in mind here really is that you need to mark where the premise is at the beginning of the statement. If you put it at the beginning of because, that P, that is fine. I don't care. I like to put my indicators, when possible, after excess verbiage. But you shouldn't put it in the middle, because for all I know, you think only that part is the, the premise, and you do not put it at the end. So I'm going to be looking at these, quickly grading them. Your label indicator must be inside the text like this, and it must occur at the beginning of the statement that you think you are labeling. Then I have, it is reasonable to suppose that materialism is a true theory. Probably a conclusion, just the way these first 2 statements are set up, but I'll go ahead and read the third to see if there's any more clues. Because a theory sticks to such facts. Of course, I know because typically functions as a premise indicator. So given that the first and third statement are probably premises, I'm going to go ahead and make the judgment, given the totality of my understanding and interpretation here, about the author's intent in this passage, that second statement is the conclusion. So 2 things to remember. One is you have to copy and paste the argument here. That will save you time. I have given you 2 hours, which is more than enough time to complete the test if you have to retype the argument, but you should try to copy and repaste it. Second point is you've got to put the premise and conclusion indicators within the text, not above, because what will happen is your labels will slide. When I open up the test, it may move your P's and C's, so you don't want that. You want to stick it inside the text and just put P or C. All right, so now I've done that. And as you know, the other thing you have to do is strike out, cross out excess verbiage. We said that we were going to, and in that process, include crossing out premise and conclusion indicators. So that's because what is some more excess verbiage that occurs in this passage? Well, it is reasonable to suppose that. Make sure you get rid of the that. I've noticed that some students don't get rid of the word that sometimes when needed. That, of course, is excess verbiage. Do you remember what it's called? That is what you call a hedge. And then we're going to get rid of, what else are we going to get rid of? This other premise indicator. All right. So I want you to remember that just this part right here counts for 80% of the exam. Let's say that this argument item on the test is worth 10 points. I'm probably going to make the premise, conclusion, premise themselves worth 5 points or 4 points. I might make the premise, each of those, 1 point, and then the conclusion 2 points. That means that if you don't label the premises and the conclusions here, that you're going to lose 4 points right off the bat. If you don't cross this out, let's say I'm going to count each of these items, these cross-outs, as a fourth of a point, you're going to lose a point. So I've had students, and I'm guessing maybe they didn't watch the videos or whatnot, I'm not sure, where they don't mark up anything, and so here you'd automatically lose 5 points. So it's not about just the final product like in math, but showing me the work. This shows the thinking in your mind. Okay, so of course the next thing you have to do, and something that might save you time, is to simply copy that again and then paste that. Oops, sorry, I've done something strange. Okay, and like that you don't have to retype everything. So then what I do is I would just say P, a true theory is one that sticks to facts from the material world. Of course, you will remember I iterated over and over again in the videos, the formatting. So that's what we're doing right now, is we're reformatting the argument to make it more clear, to make the logic more clear. Okay, so we've reformatted it. What's missing in my reformatted argument? Well, I need to number the premises. Okay, so I've done my argument markup. I have listed out my statements in a list-like fashion, numbered the premises. There's still one thing I can do, and it has to do with content principle 3. And remember, I am going to give you the 3 content principles, but you have to remember all these formatting and markup strategies and principles. A hint is that premise 2 has some work to be done with respect to content principle 3, which is employing uniform language. Look at what this says in premise 2, the theory. Okay? Now, the argument isn't trying to convince you, it's not trying to really convince you about true theories themselves, but about a particular theory. So notice that you're not going to go up here to figure out what is the uniform language, right, if you're using this version of the argument, but you're going to go down where? Which theory are we talking about? Well, look at the conclusion. Which theory is being argued for in the premises? Well, you look at the conclusion, it's materialism. So what you're going to say, what you're going to do here is you simply delete that. Don't cross it out and keep it in there. You replace those words with materialism. Okay? Now, is there any more work we can do? As a matter of fact, we can. So this should be bringing up the argument that you saw in second argument module during bundle 2. Remember that one about, beliefs and existence beliefs and stuff like that. If this says such facts, well, which facts is it talking about? So here we do go up to the first premise to figure out what is the uniform language that can be employed. Well, what kind of facts? What is such facts referencing? Facts that are what? Obtained from observation about the natural world. So don't just cross out and then add. What you want to do is insert that, and then I'm going to have to get rid of that for the sentence to make sense, because obviously when we clarify an argument, we want good grammar, because if we don't have good grammar and we don't make necessary changes when needed, not always needed, then we have actually taken away from making the argument clear. So yes, writing matters. I added my periods. If you miss a period every now and then, I don't care. You guys know that I have typos in my stuff here and there. But like if I see that you've worked on the entire argument without any periods, that might be a fourth of a point. If I gave you 3 arguments to clarify and you didn't put periods, at the end of any sentence, and that makes me think you just don't care, then that might be a point or something like that. Okay, so yes, I understand 1 or 2, no big deal. But if it seems like you just don't care, well then, there's going to be something there to inspire caring, I guess. Let's see. So now, what do I want you to get from this mechanically or in terms of just test taking is, you can save time by copying the work that you've done here. I wouldn't copy from here because then you might forget what you've done here. So copy from here and then just, create separate lines for each statement doing that. Make sure that you remember all of the formatting stuff and the labeling stuff that has to go on here. Don't forget to employ uniform language. But this is how you would do the argument markup using the using Blackboard. One more thing that I want to point out is that when you get to the testing center, this might be covered up right here. So you might find that when you first start taking the test that you only see this, okay? And there might be something that you need. Like here, I can't see the cross out, right? I can't see how to cross this out. So what might happen is this right here might cover this. So you might have to move the screen around a little bit or get the test proctor to help you. And then what you'll do is you'll click right here. And then once you do that, you're going to see that the editing functions open up so that you can do the cross out right there and use any other tools that you need to use. Well, that is all I've got for you. I hope this was helpful, and I look forward to you rocking this part of the test.